Welcome. We are back charting. Hopefully things should look better from yesterday. I changed a few of my settings. I made the bitrate higher and stuff. But we are back. For the 14 people here, make sure to hit that like button if you support what I'm doing. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And also if you want to send me a tip, the link for that is in the description. It should also be like the pinned comment in the chat. So it should be there as well. If you send me $3 or higher with a request for a ticker, I will look at it literally like immediately. But that is just some things to start it off yet. Hopefully you guys can see me well. Steven, does everything look good? Let me know. But we're gonna get right into this stuff. Gonna start off with Fisker. And again, if you want me to look at anything, drop it in the chat and I'll try my best to take a look at as many things as possible. But hopefully that should be good. Alright, Steven says it looks good now. But yeah, let's get to it. We're going to start off with Fisker. Unfortunately, there's not too much of an edge here. As you can see, just currently inside of this range. Like mid $15 to $16 is the support. But the resistance, you have like a short-term resistance at $17.50, which I posted on my Twitter I think yesterday or maybe the day before. But if you want to follow me on Twitter for live updates, that's in the bottom left of your screen. Here we're going to take a look at the 1 hour. Again, you can see how big of a resistance 1750 is, but the real resistance to break for a continuation of the uptrend is 1821. As we can see, 1821 was the high on September 15th. It was also the target of the bullish butterfly, which I posted, or I made a whole entire video on when the price was $9. But yeah, it went all the way up to the target of 1821, and that is the resistance. If it can break it, you could probably see 2049, which was like the top of the candle body from the all-time high daily candle. Gene says screen is blurry, had to change settings again. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. If it looks a little bit blurry for anyone, just make sure you're clicking on 1080p and then it should look good. But on my phone it looks fine. So if it doesn't look good for you, just make sure to hit the 1080p option. But that is Fisker. Now we're gonna move on to chat requests and see what we can find there. So gonna be starting off with Kcac. Again, this one, it ran like crazy. Basically, if you've been watching the stream for, I think, since last week, I charted it when it was breaking out of this green supply line. There was classic bullish divergence on the RSI and MACD, and it broke out of it. And once it broke out of it around $13, I put the targets 1581, 1727, and 1864. All three of those targets hit, and it's continuing to go. Currently, the highest part of the rally was like 2120. This is probably not the value area to be buying, if I'm being honest. That's just my personal opinion. It just had a crazy run from 11 to 20, so it can easily pull back, and it's already at a deep Fibonacci retrace. In terms of resistance, 2022 was your high on September 21st, and then after that it would be 2323, which was like the top of this downsloping supply line. So yeah, those are all your levels. Your new supports will be your previous resistances. So the new supports are these orange lines, as you can see right here. But that is Kcac. Now I'm gonna move on to, let's do Pelaton, Docu, and PIC. So I'm gonna start off with PIC. Really good day, up 11.5%. I've been looking at this since it was $10. When it was $10, what I was constantly saying for these like 3 weeks when it was just stuck at $10, I was saying if it breaks the 200-day moving average, which I'm trying to load up real quick. Thank you for the support, Rooster, saying to smash that like button. But yeah, basically the 200-day moving average, this blue line right here, for weeks I was saying it needed to break that. And it broke that. I think on Monday it gapped up, broke that, and since then it's been running. That's how important breaking a 200-day moving average could be. And you're seeing it right here. It went from $10 to $11.87 at the high, and then it pulled back some. I think it's actually pretty interesting why $11.80 was the high. As you can see, that was used as support on September 18th and September 25th. So it does make sense why that was a high. If it does break 1180, the next resistance is 1229. That was your resistance from September 28th to like September 30th before it started running down even more. So yeah, that is PIC. Those are your resistances. Your big support is 1099. If 1099 doesn't hold, you could go all the way back to the bottom to fill the gap at $10.12. But in terms of like the short term, you know, it is up. Well, it did pretty much go up like what, 18%. So it did have a nice run. It could keep on running. There's really no major resistance, but you are overbought on the 4 hour, as you can see over here. I think it is more of a long-term hold than a short-term play, because it could easily pull back in the short term. But in the long term, if you really look at what XL Fleet is doing, I really think it's interesting, but obviously do your own research there. For the 28 people here, make sure to hit that like button. Really helps to grow the channel. And if you're not subscribed already, like 80% of my viewers aren't even subscribed. So I should not be one of you. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to send me a tip, the link for that is in the description. Now we're going to move on to Pelaton, which is looking pretty good. Just a brief history. I posted it saying the buy was $100. Unfortunately, I was way too tight on the stop. What they stop at 98, and then there was like a stop hunt on, I think like Tuesday. I don't really remember what Monday was. I think it was Tuesday, but yeah, there was a stop hunt. But again, after it went down, it still closed the day over $100. And literally the same exact day on stream, I said since it did confirm the close over 100, there was no break of support. It was still fine. And since then, it is up 5%. Still have classic bullish divergence on the 4 hour. And on your daily, you have hidden bullish divergence that is forming very well. So it looks good. It really does. Obviously now there's 5% risk. But that, you know, where you place the stop is your decision. It depends on where you entered and how much you're willing to risk. But that is Pelaton. Yeah, Pelaton, it's volatile, but it's weird because like one day it'll move like literally nothing, and then the next day it'll go like crazy in either direction. So just not the best for stops. But again, if 1 out of 5 times the stop messes you up, the other 4 out of 5 times it'll save you from, you know, taking on a big loss. So that is Pelaton. Now we're going to move on to DocuSign, which I went over for print at the end of yesterday's stream. And yeah, I basically said with the classic bullish divergence on the daily, which is now actually confirmed, as you can see, there's like a little green tick right there, or a green wick. So now the classic bullish divergence is confirmed. There's a gap fill to, well, on the daily the gap fill is like 226, so that's a gap fill. And then in terms of resistance, probably something like this, like a right angled ascending broadening wedge. That's like the name of this pattern, where you have a right angled support line, and then it is ascending because it is splitting apart. The resistance line is going higher and higher, which is implying an increase of volatility in the near future. So that is DocuSign, looking pretty good. Also have a classic bullish divergence on the 4 hour. Looks good. Obviously the better entry was at the bottom of the range at 190. It bounced off that like 7 times in a row, so that was like really the place to enter on DocuSign. But let's keep it going. I'm gonna be going from like the top to the bottom again for the new people in here. Currently got 30 people. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already, and if you're not subscribed, you really should be. Just free analysis. If you want to send me a tip, it is the pinned comment in the chat, or it's the first link in the description. But let's keep it going. Trying to get to as many as possible. I will look at TTCF, so let's get to that. Thank you for the support, Doug. And Buha, I will try to look at that. So, we gotta get to Tattooed Chef, which does not look good in my personal opinion. It had a bad close today. As you can see, 1606 was the support on September 24th and October 26th. It was also your resistance at the end of July. And today it did not close over that, it closed under it. It is using the 200-day moving average as support, as you can see this blue line right here. But if it breaks that 200-day moving average, the next real support is 1357, which was like the support of this really good double bottom that led to much higher prices. So yeah, if it doesn't hold its 200-day moving average and really bounce off of it, 1357 could be next. But just to play devil's advocate, let's say it has a crazy day tomorrow with a potential of getting classic bullish divergence on the daily MACD. Let's say somehow that works out, which doesn't look too great, but who knows, nothing is ever certain, it's just all probability. If it does have a good day tomorrow, there is a gap fill to $16.70. So that could be filled potentially. That is TTCF. We got 14 likes. Can we get to 20 likes? Need 6 out of the 32 people in here to hit that like button, so make sure to do it. What's after TTCF? UAVS, and I will take a look at Ttnp, INTC, Fubo, LCA, Alibaba, and Hnrg, and Overstock and LCA. So we're going to be running through all of these. Make sure to hit that like button for the free analysis. So UAVS. Just trying to make sure everything is in check. Okay, so let's go to UAVS. No divergence on the daily. Looks like it already broke out, if I'm being honest. There was definitely a supply line that I see, and no divergence on the 4-hour. So it was in a falling wedge and it broke out of the falling wedge. So as you can see, that was your resistance line of the falling wedge, and then this would have been your support line, and it broke out of that on November 6th, and since then it's been running up. Let's see the Fibonacci here. Yeah, it literally went right to the golden retrace. If you want to learn about Fibonacci, it's course video number 4 on my channel. The link to that is in the description. But literally, I always talk about the golden retrace. It's a real golden ratio seen all throughout the universe in human anatomy, bee colonies, galaxies. It's really crazy, and it can also be used in trading. And as you're literally seeing right here, this reversed right at the 618, the golden retrace. Literally by the cent is where it pulled back. So yeah, it looks like it already played out, if I'm being honest. Of course it can run again. You know, it does have some support at 233, which is let me show that for you real quick. So 231 was where you bounced off of on November 17th, and it was also your resistance at the end of September, as you can see right here. So yeah, that's your support, but again, it already really hit the actual target of the falling wedge. It could go back there, but you know, this is your support level. If you do not hold 231, you could easily be headed for lower prices. We need one more like for 20 likes. Can we get to it? Let's go. But that was UAVS. Now we're gonna move on to Ttnp. And I think I have looked at this a couple times now. So let's take a look at this. And no, it doesn't look like I have. Yeah, it's not a good macro trend. This is not something to be holding for a long time because they do not make money, as you can clearly see. Bad earnings according to TradingView, which is wrong all the time. Not much of a pattern because of how volatile it is. No divergence at all. And yeah, there's just not much of an edge on this chart. There's like there's no clear support that I see. There's no clear resistance. Not a lot that I can help you with in terms of technical analysis on this chart, but of course it did have a 35% day today, so that's good for Titan. Now we're going to move on to INTC, which is Intel. It should be on my watch list. And this one is strange. Okay, so Intel is sitting at the bottom of a range. As you can see, it bounced off of 43, 47, like 4 different times. October of 2018, December of 2018, May of 2019, and March of this year. $43 is where it has been bouncing off of. So it is right next to that support. There's also a triangle here. It's like a neutral pattern. Whichever way it breaks out to, there could be price continuation to that side. But here is a potential issue I'm seeing with the chart. If the MACD does go to red, which it may or may not, if it does go to red, there will be hidden bearish divergence, which means it has gone down in price, but the MACD went up, which is bearish. So although it is at the bottom of a range and it did bounce off the support line of this triangle, you got to be careful with the MACD. If it does turn to red, take caution. Now we're going to move on to Dominico previously said in the chat, I kind of missed it, but he said if you had to choose out of the 3 to swing and throughout the next week, would you choose Fisker, KNDI, or AYRO? Well, let's take a look. I'm not going to fully go through these charts just for time purposes, but if I see something like really fast, I'll let you know. There's really no edge for a swing trade here in terms of technical analysis. Maybe there is one fundamentally, but technical analysis does not typically work with a straight line up or a straight line down. And then AYRO is literally the same exact scenario. There's not much that technical analysis does here. Technical analysis can help you out over here before the massive runs up, but after they occur, you know, who knows where it can go. It's currently extremely volatile. It's overbought. Not too sure. So by process of elimination, maybe it would come down to Fisker. But Fisker, you know, if we look at the 1 hour, it's just, it's failing to break 1750. It broke like a little upsloping support line that I deleted because it wasn't anything major. And it's just in the middle of the range. So the other 2 charts have no edge, and this one really doesn't either. So there's probably better opportunities in terms of a swing trade than the previous 3. But that, sorry I can't answer your question, I just want to be honest. Thank you for 22 likes. Now we're going to move on to Fubo. And if you've been watching the stream, you know I've been calling this perfectly in the last 2 weeks. So originally, it was at $21, and I said it could reverse there because it was at the golden ratio at the time. Then I literally said it could bounce off of $15, which was the previous resistance. That's called a support resistance flip. And since it bounced off of that level, let me pull out the price range. It is up 40% since when I tweeted. Literally on my Twitter, I said it could easily bounce off that level. My Twitter's in the bottom left of your screen if you want to follow me there for live updates and trade setups. But yeah, it's up 40% since $15. Currently at a decent resistance. It is overbought. This could be a profit-taking level if you bought at $15. Of course, it could keep on going parabolic, but it is at like a mini resistance, so 40% profit is not bad at all if you want to take that. Profit is always profit. And if it does keep running, your next resistance is 23.84, which is the previous all-time high. So that is Fubo, and your support is $20.30. If that breaks, you're probably going to go all the way back down to $15 because there's no support after $20. I will take a look at Mpln. I think I did buy Mpln today actually. So I think you even tweeted, because I put out at like 3 o'clock, I was like, give me your best things that you think could run in the next hour. And I think it was you, Eric, who said Mpln. and I actually bought it because it looked good, and I'm already up like 2% on it, so thank you for that. But we will get to Mpln. Now I'm gonna look at LCA. I didn't even really see how it did today. I don't know if it did much. Yeah. So LCA again. I've been showing this 1527 resistance. Still has not broken it. It's way too early to call any bearish divergence, so I'm not gonna do that right now. But yeah, I mean, it's just back inside the channel for now. Let me try and line that up. So yeah, it's back in the channel. The next support is $14.30, which was your support on August 27th, and it was your resistance on October 8th. So 14.30 is the next support. But if it can break over 15.27, there's really no resistance until like $16.50. So it probably could go either way. But that is LCA. Now we're going to move on to... A lot of people have been asking about this chart. I don't know if I'm sold on it. It's interesting to say the least. There is no divergence. It broke out of this upsloping channel. I literally showed this channel when it was literally breaking to the downside, and since then it went down like 20%. So yeah, I mean, today it did rally a little bit. Some people day traded it. On the daily, I think you got a bullish engulfing candle, which means this green candle right here completely engulfed the full previous daily candle, if that makes sense. So this green body is bigger than all of yesterday's body. So that's called a bullish engulfing candle. It could be a reversal candle, but there's not too much aside from the bullish engulfing candle. Like, there's no support, there's no divergence, there's no pattern. The only thing that's really here is currently a bullish pin bar, which is a reversal pattern, and a bullish engulfing candle. So the candles look good, but there is no structure, there is no support until 240, and there is no divergence. So I don't know. Usually I like to have candles, supports, divergences, structures, all four of those things, and a nice Fibonacci retrace. So I like to have as many things as possible on a chart that I'm going to be taking a long on. And this only has one out of those 5 things. So maybe just off the candles it can, you know, retest $265. And if it breaks that, it could be headed back up to fill a gap at 290. But breaking 265 might not be easy, because that was your resistance at the end of July until the end of August, and it was your support all throughout September. So now we're going to move on to Hnrg. Again, for the 32 people here, can we get to 30 likes? We just need 6 more likes to get there. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to tip me, the link for that is in the description. It'll come with the stream pop-up. And also, if you tip me over $3, I will look at whatever you request in the tip message literally right away. Just as like a reward for tipping me. But now we're going to move on to Hnrg. And I am going to get to Overstock, and I think I already looked at LCA. I'm also going to look at TillRay, GoPro, Mpln, and then I'll look at the rest after that. I do not want to promise everything just for time reasons. But thank you for all of the support. Need 4 more likes for 30 likes. And the macro is just terrible on this chart. There is hidden bullish divergence on the daily though. As you can see, you're going up in price, but you made a lower low on the MACD. So there is daily hidden bullish divergence. And there's also 4-hour hidden bullish divergence. So hidden bullish divergence implies price continuation to the upside. And it also broke above the 200-day moving average. So while the macro trend is really not good and the volume is terrible, the divergence does look good. And I'm trying to see if there's like a real structure. It's just hard to look for a structure on a chart like this because the volume is so low. There's not even like real candles on the chart. That's just how volatile it is. So it just makes it a little bit harder. But this kind of does look like a double bottom. And the next resistance would be 94 cents. So yeah, 94 cents also lines up with this high. And yeah, the divergence does look good. It did break over the 200-day moving average. But typically I don't trade charts that look this volatile. It just makes technical analysis a lot harder. But hope that does help you. The divergence is pretty strong there. Now we're going to move on to Overstock, which is up, I think, like 6% since I posted it on my Twitter. It broke out of this falling wedge, had a nice candle on the breakout, and then it's just been going sideways, which is not a bad thing at all. And the target is the gap fill to 66.60. Again, it's a long-term trade. I said that on the tweet that I put out. You have divergence on your 4-hour MACD RSI, and then you also have divergence on your daily MACD and RSI. So quadruple divergence, the strongest form of divergence. It bounced at a golden retrace to 0.618. So yeah, it's just currently playing out. It could take a while. That's why I said it was a long-term trade. I didn't say that it was going to go to 66 this week. It's a long-term trade, and patience should pay off with about a 75% probability. Again, nothing is ever certain, but this is one of the best charts I've seen in a while. The only issue is it really just needs to take off now. The probability is there, but there is no certainty because there's never certainty. So we will see. It's already up 5%. Still looks good. Now we're going to move on to TillRay. I'll try to get to it. Just got to get through a lot of things. So TillRay is another thing I own. So this one's weird. And I did put out a warning. Alright, well, we just got a $4 tip from Dicker Sanka. Interesting name. And he is requesting Tesla. Again, if you tip me over $3, whatever you request, I'm literally just going to go right to as a reward for requesting it. So we will get back to TillRay. Now we're going to look at Tesla. It broke out of the ascending triangle. It looks better on the daily, I think. Yeah, Tesla broke out of the ascending triangle. I showed this. I've been showing this for like 2 weeks now, the ascending triangle on Tesla. And with the listing to the S&P 500, that catalyst took it outside of the ascending triangle. And now it's just currently using the previous all-time high as resistance. If it does break $503, this is how you would target, because there's no data, this high, right? So if it does break $503, and I'm not sure why 615 is there. I do not remember when I put it there. But let's say it does break 503, which again, that's currently the resistance. It could pull back at 503 or it could break it. That's how resistance works. But if it does break it, the next resistances would be the Fibonacci lines. So that would be the 2618 at 545, the 3618 at $600, and the 4236 at 634. But don't even think about those until you clear the previous all-time high of $503. So yeah, next the resistances 542, 600, and 634. Jared says, would you move up your original stop loss in Overstock now that's broken out and going sideways? Typically on swing trades, if I'm in profit, I will raise my stop loss. But if I'm taking a long-term trade, which could literally take months to play out, usually I will not raise my stop loss because it can go back to my entry price and it can bounce off my entry price. So if it's like a short-term trade, I do typically personally raise my stop loss if I'm in profit. But if it's a long-term trade, most of the time I just leave my stop loss. You know what I'm saying? Once I entered that long-term trade, I already had an idea of how much I'm willing to risk, and I'm still willing to risk that much. And I also have an idea of where I want to exit. So hopefully that answers your question, Jared. Again, for the 28 people here, we need 4 more likes to get to 30. Can we do it? Just hit that like button if you want the free analysis. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and if you want to tip me, it's in the chat. It's like the pinned comment in the chat, should be all the way on the top, and it should be the first link in the description. So now let's get back to Overstock. So yeah, I think I was looking at, what was I looking at? I don't know. I think I already finished Overstock, so I was looking at TillRay now. So yeah, TillRay, this one's interesting. If TillRay does not open well tomorrow, I'm stopping myself out, because the idea of this chart was a bounce off of $6.73, which is your Fibonacci 0.786 retrace. It's also a previous resistance and a support. This orange line right here, you bounced off it here, you bounced off it here, you use it as resistance over here, and it was working on hidden bullish divergence, but that is currently canceled out for the time being because the MACD stopped going back towards green. So the probability of this playing out is really starting to lower. I did put out a warning, but again, the literal entry of this trade was 673 because it needs to bounce off 673. So really you can have a tight stop, or I have a tight stop. You have to make whatever stop loss is comfortable for you, whatever you are willing to risk. Just be careful, because if it does break 673, there is a gap to fill at $6.06. That's why personally I'm gonna have a tight stop, like 3 or 4% under 673. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. You have to choose whatever stop loss works best for you. Ben, I will go over GameStop. Is there a gap at 636? Not really. It gapped up to 630. No, I don't really see one at 636, if I'm being honest. It gapped down. Yeah, no, I don't really see one. You could say there's a gap at, oh man, I gotta sneeze, at like 631 and 606. Trying to hold my sneeze in. But yeah, 4 more legs to 30 legs. Can we get there? And yeah, TillRay, it really needs to bounce here. It's on life support currently, and that is TillRay. But again, I posted the entry literally at this price, so the stop loss is like a few percent under it for me personally. But that is TillRay. Now we're going to move on to GoPro. No divergence on the 4 hour, no divergence on the daily. Currently at a major support. Well, it could be a support or a resistance, however you want to look at it. Like, it closed pretty much right at it. But there is a gap to fill at 624. So keep that gap in mind. Yeah, it could bounce here. If it doesn't bounce here, it'll probably go to 625 to fill the gap. That is GoPro. Now we're going to move on to Mpln. And it looks pretty good. On the daily chart, there's classic bullish divergence. You were going down in price, but your MACD went up, equals classic bullish divergence. There is a resistance at $8.12, so be careful with that. As you can see, $8.12 was your resistance at the end of October, and it was also your support in the beginning of October, so $8.12 is a resistance. If it breaks $8.12, the next resistance is $8.94, which was from last week, I think. So yeah, that was your resistance last week before it dumped. So yeah, look for, you know, $8.12, look out for that. And then let's see if there's anything on the 1 hour. Thank you for the $5, Jared. It says, you have opened my eyes to trading. Thanks for doing this. Thank you for watching the stream. Really appreciate the support, Jared. So yeah, that is Mpln. It broke out of this downsloping supply line as well, so keep that in mind. But it looks pretty good. I bought some a couple percent ago. I even got in on it a little bit late, if I'm being honest. But it did break out of this supply line, and it does have divergence on the daily. So that was Mpln. Thank you again for the tip, Jared. For the 29 people in here, let's get to 30 likes. We need 4 more. Let's hit that goal. So yeah, after Mpln, we have GIK. I don't know if GoE is a ticker. Let me know if it is, Brian. So now we're gonna look at GIK. Literally no edge on the chart. It's just a straight line up. It was in this range for a while, and it pumped. There's nothing I can do there in terms of technical analysis. Let's look at Rocket. Requested by Trademan 007. Be careful here. Be careful on Rocket, because it was really close to breaking back out, but now there's a chance of getting hidden bearish divergence, which means you went down in price but your MACD went up. You also have that on your RSI, so take caution. If it does not bounce, like literally tomorrow, it could retest $20, which was your support at the end of September. So yeah, there is a potential of getting hidden bearish divergence on the daily chart, so do keep that in mind. It is showing up on both the MACD and the RSI, which, you know, divergence pretty much just shows seller exhaustion or buyer exhaustion, and the MACD already did cross over on the 4 hour, but there was no bearish divergence because you made a lower high. So the 4 hour is currently fine, and on the 4 hour chart, all Rocket simply did was backtest the breakout, which is a very common thing. So on the 4 hour it looks fine. So with the 4 hour looking okay, it could bounce, and it actually needs to bounce. If it doesn't bounce, there's a pretty decent chance of getting hidden bearish divergence on the daily chart. So Rocket really needs a good day tomorrow for continuation to the upside. What about going to the bottom of the wedge? Yeah, if it does break $20, there is no support until this downsloping support line, and that would be like really far away. That would be like $16 or something, like $16.50, something like that. So Rocket is again on life support. It needs to bounce like tomorrow, in my opinion. 3 more likes until 30 likes. Let's get there. If you haven't subscribed already, the button looks like that. It's right on top of my head. Hit the subscribe button if you like the free analysis. And if you want to send me a tip, it is the pinned comment in the chat, and it's also the first link in the description. So now we're going to move on to, let's do Bitcoin. Requested by Have a Death. Need 3 more likes for 30, guys. So yeah, Bitcoin. I originally posted Bitcoin on Twitter at $10,800. Now it is at $18,000. So crazy run. It broke all the resistances, and I even posted this ascending triangle. I think last week I posted this ascending triangle on Twitter. It broke out of the ascending triangle, back tested the previous resistance of the upsloping channel, and it broke 17,152. And now the next resistance is all-time highs, or previous all-time highs. As you can see from where the price currently is, there is no resistance until all-time highs, and it already broke the 17,152 resistance. So yeah, I mean, it probably is overbought. Yep, it is overbought on the daily, sitting at 81.31. But there is not much resistance here, so it could easily continue this parabolic run. But that is Bitcoin. Now we're going to move on to say we go with we're gonna go with LEJU, and then we're gonna go with PDD. If you want me to take a look at something, drop it in the chat. So LEJU, VRM, I will definitely take a look at that. The daily chart, no divergence. The support would be the 200-day moving average, which is currently at $2.12. And then the 4-hour, it's not a lot of volume. The candles are not good. There's like 100 different gaps. Again, this is just not one of the charts that technical analysis really works for. So even if I do give you a reading on this chart, the probability will automatically be lowered on LEJU. I'm just being completely honest. So now we're gonna move on to PDD. Need 2 more likes for 30. Let's get there. Thank you for the 29 people here. PDD, it broke 115 and it is continuing to rally. I don't know if there's any previous data at this price. Certainly does not look like it. So very close to all-time highs. Trying to see. Yes, that was the swing high, that was the swing low. I already have the Fibonacci charted. And look again, the 1618 golden ratio. Once it tested it for the first time, it failed to break it. Then it went back down and retested the previous resistance, and it bounced off that. So here you are seeing the 1618 as resistance, and you're seeing a support resistance flip. Those are 2 very common things in high runners. Since there's no pattern here, you know, that really does help in terms of TA. Very similar to what NEO did and how I was able to predict the price points of NEO like 5 times in a row last week, pretty much using the same method of Fibonacci and previous resistances flipping into supports. That's what I did with NEO, that's what I did with Fubo. That's pretty much all you can do when you have crazy runners like this. So yeah, now your resistance is the 2618 if it breaks the 2618. All-time highs if it breaks all-time highs, the 3618. But again, there's a gap to $113. It could have been a breakaway gap, who knows. Just not a lot you can do when the price is just going straight up. TA is really helpful for areas like this where, as you can see, there was a falling wedge, there was divergence, and that manifested into the run-up. There was probably a catalyst too. But when you have technicals and fundamentals lining up, prices can go high. So now we're going to move on to VRM. Need 1 more like for 30 likes. So to the 25 people here, if you haven't hit that like button yet, make sure to hit it. VRM. I did show this on stream earlier in the week. And the price at that, let me delete this Fibonacci, it just makes it look ugly. So early in the week I looked at it, it was right here at $33, and I said it could bounce there. Why did I say that? Because it was on this downsloping support line, and there was classic bullish divergence. Classic bullish divergence implies a price reversal to the upside. However, the macro trend is just still not good. You haven't had a real breakout yet. You did get a nice bounce, but no real breakout. There's a gap fill to $39.99. So that could be next. If it breaks $39.99, the real resistance to break is this. So yeah, if it can break this red line, $39.99 should be next. If it breaks that, it'll probably go back into an uptrend. So it is bouncing, but you need more continuation for a confirmation of a price, or a confirmation of a trend reversal. You need more continuation off of this bounce. But that is VRM. Now we're going to move on to, thank you for 30 likes, by the way. We got it. Now we're going to move on to OPK. which is OPKO Health. I think I charted it on the daily. Yeah. So there was classic bullish divergence on the daily. It kind of already played out, if I'm being honest. There was also this upsloping support line, which is where it kind of bounced off of. The divergence is already starting to go back down. So not too much info on the daily. It did also bounce off the 200-day moving average, as you can see right here, that blue line. So that was pretty good. Now I'm going to move on to the 4-hour. No edge on the 4-hour. So it's just kind of in this range between 290 and 434. And obviously that is a very big range. So it pretty much got to the golden retrace at 0.618, and now it's pulling back. The MACD is about to cross over to red. So if OPK does not open well tomorrow, it could be headed back down to the bottom of the range. That is my opinion on OPK. Now we're going to look at COCP. Let's see what we got here. COCP. A biotech company or a pharmaceutical company. Crazy dump from $3 to under $1. I'm not going to even look at the past price because this is really all that matters this low. No pattern here. No divergence, no edge on this chart. It's just in a terrible downtrend, and it is reversing. It did have a nice run from 76 to 88 cents. If you really want me to do something here, I can take a look at the 1 hour. There was hidden bullish divergence, and technically still is, where you made a lower low on your MACD, but you made a higher low on price. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much of a read on this chart. It could literally reverse at any time. Usually I don't look at stocks like this, if I'm being honest, but if you really want me to give you an answer, the next resistance would be 92 cents, which was your high on November 12th. If it somehow breaks that, the resistance after that would be 98 cents, which was the high in the beginning of October. So that is COCP. Now we're going to take a look at low. Let's see what we have here. On the 1 hour, which again, it's the 1 hour chart. I was just on it from the last chart. So 1 hour is not super reliable, but there is classic bullish divergence that is confirmed on the 1 hour chart. As you can see, there's a green wick right here. And there's also a gap to fill at 159.45. So there's a gap over there. No divergence on the 4 hour. Oh, so this is lows. Okay. No divergence on the daily. So yeah, I don't know. It already broke a major support on the higher time frames. If we take a look at this, the support on lows was $153, and it broke under that. So pretty much the read on this chart is short term. There could be a continuation of this little bounce that is occurring, but long term it broke a support line and it could be headed for lower prices. So that is lows. Now we're going to take a look at VLDR, which should already be on my watch list actually. I just saw it. Okay. So VLDR, thank you for 31 likes. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you want to send me a tip, the link for that is the first link in the description. It's also the pinned comment in the chat. Any tip over $3 with a ticker request, I will look at it immediately, just as a thank you. So VLDR, it was the trade setup I put out. Originally I had it as a falling wedge, but then somebody DM'd me about an inverse head and shoulders, And the inverse head and shoulders did look pretty good. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then the neckline was 1534. Kind of 1534. I didn't really chart the neckline. I'm just keeping 1534 because it was a previous support on July 24th and October 5th, and it was a resistance in the middle of June. So it did break over 1534. The first target of the VLDR trade I put out already hit 24%. I think that hit. I mean, this is, this was some time ago. This was November 6th. So 13 days ago, the target hit. I put it out on Twitter. This is a trade setup I've had going on. It's a long-term trade setup. It already achieved the first target of 24%, and the next target is 1880, which would be 51%. And the reason that is a target is because it's the 50% retrace of the downtrend, and it is also a resistance from October 12th, August 18th, July 17th. So yeah, this is a long-term trade. It can easily pull back before running again, but the long-term target is 1880. Kcac, I already looked at TTCF. You're gonna have to rewind. It's right at the beginning of the stream, so just go all the way back towards the beginning and you should be able to see it. Now we're gonna look at Draftkings, so let's get to that. Thank you guys again for showing out to the stream. Probably going to be my last stream until Sunday night, just because it's going to be the weekend, so market won't be open. And Draftkings, interesting. The story with Draftkings is it had a head and shoulders, and at $48 I put out a tweet saying take caution on Draftkings. Then it went from 48 to 35, and when it was $35, I saw the classic bullish divergence on the 4 hour, and I saw the hidden bullish divergence on the daily, literally on stream like 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. And I literally said it could bounce with the double divergence. And since that stream, I think the stream was when it was 39. It wasn't at 35. I'm just going to be honest. So I didn't call the bottom or anything. But at 39, I said it could easily go up. I charted the $40 and the 44 resistance. Both of those broke. And it is up about 25% since I showed this on stream. Like 2 weeks ago or something like that. Maybe last week. Looks like the beginning of last week. So there's that. Once again, the offering didn't help. Did DraftKings have an offering? I didn't even know about that actually. So yeah, there you go. That could be a fundamental and technical lining up. So unless you're talking about something else, so I'm not too sure. And then yeah, I can take a look at AMWL, American Well Corp. We will take a look at that. Just trying to clean up my watch list because I have like 100 things in here. Trying to keep a little bit clean. Yeah, so we're just saying DraftKings also had a offering when the price was at 51. So again, I talk about it all the time. The highest chance of probability on a chart is when not only the chart is showing an edge, but also there's a fundamental catalyst. For example, on DraftKings, there was a head and shoulders and an offering when the price was in the low 50s, and that sent it to much lower prices. On the flip side, on Fisker, you had a bullish butterfly, but you also had the merger occur, and that sent it to a 2x in price. It went up 100%. So when you have the fundamentals and the technicals line up, that's when things can really move. So AMWL, I already have a chart. I think I charted it on the 4 hour. Yeah, so being under 25 is not good. As you can see, 25 was the support in the beginning of November. It broke under that and it went down all the way to $21. And now it is creating 4 hour classic bullish divergence. So that is something to take a note of, as you can see. you made a higher low on the MACD, but you made a lower low on price. Let's take a look at the daily. No, not enough data on the daily. So, you know, it did actually bounce at the previous all-time low, which was kind of right here at 22. So you would think that AMWL is headed to 25 next. If it breaks $25, I have no clue what these lines are. Okay. Oh, I think it was a gap fill. No, it wasn't. I don't know. So yeah, with the classic bullish divergence, the probability is saying it should go to 25. If it breaks 25, which may be pretty hard as it was your support previously, if it breaks 25, you can fill the gap to 27.90. So that is AMWL. But yeah, I think we got through like 20 different things tonight. Again, follow me on Twitter if you want live updates tomorrow, as well as maybe if I see some good charts, I might post some new trades. But yeah, really strong week. Crazy gains. Like, I could probably pull it up. Here, let me just show you guys the gains this week. It's insane. I'm gonna try and pull it out if it'll load. Just taking a minute to load here. You got it, Kcac. Alright, weekly winning trades. I don't know, my Wi-Fi is slow right now. Thank you for all the support, Eric. Really appreciate it. I don't know why it's not loading. Let me try one more time. It's just taking forever to load. Alright, there we go. So I think this was last week's. Very strange. Alright, here we go. So, as you can see here, these are currently the trades from this week. 20%, 20%, 16%, 15%, 15%, 14%, 7% on Beyond, which is still an ongoing trade, 6% on Overstock, which is still an ongoing trade. PLTR, I did not put the percentage yet. I didn't really look at it yet, but PLTR went up crazy since I went over it on stream. And then Pinterest was a new trade I put out on my Twitter today, so haven't put that out yet. Literally put it out in the afternoon. So absolutely crazy week. Thank you for the support, Steven. Thank you for the support, Brian. I guess we could just look at Pinterest to close things off, which is right here. So I posted Pinterest on Twitter today. It has hidden bullish divergence on the RSI and MACD on the 4-hour, which implies price continuation to the upside. And then if you look at the daily, there is also hidden bullish divergence that's literally confirmed on the daily. Just one more thing. Again, what it really needs to do is hold this upsloping support line. It's been doing that very well for pretty much like a week now, and it did break the 65.47 resistance. So the probability is saying $68 is next. So yeah, Pinterest. Just wanted to show that off to close things out. But thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for 32 likes. If you support what I'm doing, hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to send me a tip, it is in the description. Also, my free course is in the description. So have a good night, everybody, and I will see you probably on Sunday night. Peace out.